Created by Betsy Klein and Timon Pratt, Plan B to save wolves and wolf dogs became a reality in 2016. The idea was simple: to help all other organizations and individuals who rescued wolf dogs. They are self-described as the United Way of the wolf dog rescue world because they mobilize the caring power of donors, rescues, and individuals to save these beautiful and intelligent beings.
I've been doing rescue since 2012, and it is always a struggle. But when I found the organization Plan B, it was like a window opened up into a different way to help wolf dogs. Always before, I administered a nationwide electronic rescue network, but it was difficult to put all the pieces together because of lack of funding. There was no source that could fund every rescue, particularly when a sanctuary was not involved, but it might be a private placement where an individual was able to help a wolf dog, but we were trying to get an animal from the East Coast to the West Coast, and transport was difficult to find, but even more difficult to pay for. And Betsy Klein called me from Plan B one day to ask me for some help with a rescue she was working on to help another individual who had some animals to place. And I was just shocked that there was a foundation that was actually set up to help facilitate rescue. And so that's how I started working with Betsy. And I think it's been, I want to say 6 years. Time flies. I can't remember. It's hard for me to remember a time when I didn't know Betsy Klein and Timon Pratt at Plan B, because they have done more to facilitate rescue than any other organization in the country. It's been such a joy to know that there is help for these animals when I hit a wall and I can't get them medical care, I can't get them transported, and whatever other special needs there might be to complete a rescue. That's what Plan B has done.
Unique and one of a kind, Plan B helped many wolf dogs during its first 2 years. In September 2018, they were made aware of a dire situation in Lassen County, California, where over 100 wolf dogs were in danger of being euthanized. The breeder, High Desert Wolves, or HDW, and their problem was well known throughout the rescue community. Plan B stepped in for one last attempt to save the wolf dogs from being destroyed, initially receiving very little support from other rescues. However, as Plan B and a core team began to make progress, inspired by their momentum and integrity in seeing the rescue to its end, others began to support their efforts. Within approximately 70 days, 185 wolf dog adults and puppies were vaccinated, spayed and neutered, and saved from being shot by Lassen County Animal Control. Betsy even traveled to Lassen County and appeared in court, asking for more time to place the wolf dogs, as initially the county had granted them only 30 days. The court agreed with the 30-day extension, as Betsy proved that Plan B was committed to the rescue. Many were skeptical that the rescue efforts would only enable HDW to go back to breeding once all of the wolf dogs were removed from the property. Plan B was able to work with HDW and secure a legal contract with an agreement by them to never breed again. To this day, HDW has never bred another wolf dog and has passed several surprise inspections by the sheriff and animal control.
I just wanted to give a giant thank you to Plan B and to Wolf, to Susan Wydell, Betsy Klein, and everybody that has stepped up and helped in this. You've saved all of my animals. God bless you guys. I can't thank you all enough for everything you've done. If I ever win the lottery, I'll remember all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. A lot of dogs will live long and happy lives because of what all of you have done. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you.
You guys have spayed and neutered all my animals. You've paid all the vet bills. You've transported everybody. You've just done way above and beyond. I had so many people say, yeah, we're a rescue, we'll help, and do nothing. All they did was eat up precious time until it came down to the wire. And you guys stepped in and said you'd help, and you actually did what you said you'd do, plus. You went way above and beyond. I never in a million years thank you enough for everything you've done.
You're welcome.
Thank you. No more breeding. I don't have an intact animal. I don't plan on having an intact animal.
In addition to saving hundreds of lives, the HDW rescue brought to light that rescuing the wolf dogs does mean the people involved, who created the situation rather through poor choices or unfortunate circumstances, are saved as well. Many cannot or will not understand that concept and refuse to participate in a rescue. At Plan B, all that matters are the wolf dogs and saving their lives, with the understanding in that process the humans are saved as well.
You know, that was the most complex rescue I've ever worked on. And if I'd known what we were leaping into, I probably would have said no. But, you know, I remember so many times when we were in the middle of it, I'd want to quit and just say, ha. And you were always my rock because you kept me grounded in where we needed to go. But also, I think there's a deeper component to that rescue. It wasn't just the animals, it was the human beings involved. And the people who owned those dogs were vilified in a way that I certainly had felt and thought they were deserving of, until I began to understand their story. And I really credit you, Betsy, with helping open my eyes that it was more than just the animals who were the victims. There were people who were victims in that situation, and they were living in circumstances that were as difficult as where the dogs lived. And it was a circumstance of abject poverty. They wanted to do better, and they had no resources to make it happen. And when that human component came into it, it seemed all the more important to be successful for the lives of the dogs and the puppies, but for the lives of the people as well. And I credit you with broadening my view on that and helping me to understand something that I think I had not allowed myself to consider before. And it was an extraordinary experience, I have to say.
In late 2020, Plan B introduced their emergency response fund with the tagline, helping wolf dogs in need 24/7, 365 days a year. The moniker could not have been more accurate when they assisted with an urgent situation on Christmas Eve 2020. A small group of people on Facebook were quickly trying to raise money to save a wolf dog from being shot, and the difference between life and death was $70 to transport her to safety.
That was a gut-wrenching situation, and a lot of people helped to make it successful, but I credit Plan B with being able to marshal the resources. Without those resources, that rescue would not have happened. And there's no other foundation in the country that does what Plan B does.
We are so lucky to have donors who support our mission. Our donors understand that it comes down to funding for a rescue to happen, and their belief in Plan B has saved hundreds of lives.
I have to say the donors for Plan B have had, I think, extraordinary insight into the rescue process, because I've operated for all these years without a budget. I've never had a budget. You know, just cobble together whatever resources you can. And you've been able to effectively work with donors so that they can understand the process and where there are gaps in that process. And the gaps are funding to help get animals to safety. We all want the same thing, but the resources are not the same in every case.
Plan B is the glue that holds a lot of rescues together. You know, we rescue, we're boots on the ground, we transport animals and we keep them here, but most people don't realize that all of that needs financing. And Plan B finances so many rescues and saves so many lives every single year, from vet bills to transport to helping to build enclosures. We wouldn't be able to do it without Plan B, including this little one right over here. That's Ryder from the High Desert Wolf Rescue. She would not be alive today if it wasn't for Plan B.
Having reserves in the Emergency Response Fund is essential to saving lives. For example, in May of 2021, Plan B received an urgent request to help 12 wolf dogs and an unconfirmed number of puppies in a terrible situation. Their home was disgustingly uninhabitable, they were bred repeatedly, and the puppies sold for profit. It took a while for authorities to get all the evidence they needed for a seizure warrant, and then they put a plan into place. A rescue response team was formed, a sanctuary was available, transport booked, and all that was needed were the funds to make it happen. Unable to fundraise in advance as the seizure details needed to be kept confidential, Plan B used their emergency response fund to support the efforts. Plan B paid approximately $14,000 in advance to build enclosures, book the multi-state transport, and eventually pay for the veterinary care once the wolf dogs were safe in their new home, including spay, neuter, vaccinations, heartworm treatment, treat hookworms, skin infections, diarrhea, and other ailments. Although not the biggest rescue Plan B has participated in, it is by far the most traumatic. Upon arrival, the authorities and rescue response team found a situation more horrifying than they had ever imagined. Wolf dogs were in enclosures filled with raw sewage and mud, a house piled high with trash, filth, and feces. The authorities placed 2 people under arrest while scouring the place to ensure they left no wolf dog behind. The horrors the rescuers witnessed were so appalling they broke down into sobs and could not speak. In the end, 14 adult wolf dogs and 2 wolf dog puppies were found, and with a police escort started their journey to a whole new life. All but one survived the ordeal, and now they enjoy their days at Howling Hills Wolf Dog and Exotic Animal Sanctuary, a beautiful sanctuary where they are well cared for and loved.
So I think a lot of people in the wolf dog community, so to speak, if you're like me, you kind of just watch and don't say much, but this has been an ongoing problem for a little while with these people specifically involved. I heard about the rescue itself from Lori. Lori and her vice president reached out to me and asked if we would be able to assist them on the ground with rescuing these animals. Well, after Lori called us, essentially, this was my first large rescue, so to speak. I was a little nervous on the way there just because these situations obviously always, a lot of motions are to follow, whether that be from the owner that we're taking these animals from or from what we're about to see. I don't think that there was anything that could have prepared us for that, unfortunately. So I did a lot of mentally just trying to build myself up on the way there. However, once we got there and we realized that there was a lot more animals than we expected there was going to be, the conditions were not something I don't think any human being could fathom. Hey, Jasper. I don't think that that was something anybody could have, foreseen. And I don't think anybody ever should. It was very sad to say the least, but once we got on site, we realized the need that we were going to have to require more funding just for transport. Initially, we were thinking we were going to possibly take 6 animals, and we ended up bringing back 14. They seized 17 altogether that day. So again, the funding part came into play there majorly. We had to reach out quickly to Lori, who was able to get a hold of you, Betsy, I do believe, and let you know that we were going to need a much larger vehicle than what we had. We were not going to be able to haul these guys in one van like we essentially thought, because there was so many. And you were able to get that for us in no time, which again would have normally put someone in a predicament to where they might not have been able to rescue all of these animals. Some of them, their fate may have been a little bit more undecided had you and Plan B not stepped up to provide that funding for us. I mean, it was definitely a necessity. After I left there with these animals, I broke down and I cried for quite some time. My husband, it's actually making me emotional right now thinking about it. My husband was also a basket case. He's a very soft-hearted guy. And for him too, I don't think that we thought that things were going to be that bad. There was dead animals on the property. It was just, like I said, unimaginable. And the fact that when you do these large seizures, kind of like what you had mentioned, Betsy, is they have to be kept under the radar. We can't always fundraise money out in the wide open for these guys because we can't tip off the owner, who then may be able to either hide these animals, or in this case, she was threatening to kill them. So, they may not be here today had it not been for the way you were able to raise these funds so that no one was able to find out and relay that to her.
There is an epidemic of wolf dogs, especially low-content ones, needing to be rehomed. Unfortunately, too many people buy or adopt a wolf dog with very little knowledge of the breed, proper containment, enrichment, food, and care. To help with the rescue and rehoming process, Plan B is working on creating way stations at various locations throughout the country. The idea being Plan B would fund an enclosure at a vetted location where wolf dogs could be placed for temporary sanctuary. While at the way station, they can be properly assessed in terms of their behavior and receive a thorough medical exam, altered if needed, and vaccinations. Currently, this concept is being tested in partnership with Twin Rivers Wolf and Wolf Dog Sanctuary in Texas.
Hi, I'm Catherine from Twin Rivers Wolf and Wolf Dog Sanctuary, and saying hello and just letting you guys know how much we appreciate Plan B. Plan B has sponsored 5 of our spays, and they're sponsoring Lycan and Kira, who are back there playing because we got a cool front, and they've also helped me in other ways that I just cannot thank them enough. And I think they're a huge support for sanctuaries, and we really appreciate them. And when you guys support Plan B, you help sanctuaries and wolves and wolf dogs, and that is what it is all about, the animals. So I want to thank Betsy Klein and for helping us and for helping our animals, because that is exactly what it's about for me, the animals. And we really appreciate y'all. Thank you so much.
As part of Plan B's mission to educate the public about wolf dogs, Chaos in Theory became ambassadors representing something much more significant than an adoption story. As ambassadors for the organization, they help dispel the myth of the big bad wolf. Chaos in Theory both symbolize the shy wolf and protectors of the pack, and offer the public an insider's perspective into the beauty and innocence behind their misbranded label. Their stories shared within the community and through Plan B's communications teach us that their gentle nature is a beautiful attribute to cherish and not fear. Without a doubt, they are the daily inspiration on how Plan B's small act of kindness can lead to something greater, touching more lives than they could ever have realized. What does the future hold for Plan B? While their emergency response fund has saved hundreds of lives, Plan B realizes this is only a band-aid and does not address the core reasons why so many wolf dogs need to be saved. Many issues need to be addressed, with the priority being education. For example, people need to understand a wolf dog is not a dog, and adopting one requires a different set of commitments. Other issues include backyard breeders, inconsistent definitions of a wolf dog, misperceptions about wolves and therefore wolf dogs, educating local authorities, animal control, and humane societies. Lack of data is also a significant problem. Actual data is needed to track the number of rehoming requests, where the adopted wolf dogs go, how many are euthanized, how many end up in shelters, and where they originated. Plan B is working on a platform to source and retain this data. There is also a need to bring together rescues, private owners, and breeders to collaborate on education and advocacy issues. The 3 entities do not always see eye to eye. However, there is a place where the 3 intersect, where there is common ground, and that is the love for these animals and for them to have the best life possible. Not every home will work out, but more placements could be successful with a more sophisticated and educated owner. At Plan B, we feel the timing is right for collaboration to come together and be a collective voice for wolf dogs. It is our love for these animals that drives everything we do.
This little guy right here, Strider would not be alive today if it wasn't for Plan B. He was rescued. He was taken immediately to the ER where they were able to save his life thanks to Plan B. Plan B, thank you for all you do to save wolves and wolf dogs.